This is your captain speaking. Welcome to the Midsummer Scream Dark Harbor panel for 2018! It is exciting! Are you excited? Excellent! If you could all bring about 20,000 of your closest friends, we might make a profit this year. Are you excited to hear about everything that's happening and new at Dark Harbor this year? I am too, because I have no idea. They just told me to turn up today, so clearly I have a job for another year, so that's exciting. All right. It's time to introduce some people that do know what's happening at Dark Harbor this year, and I will introduce our panel. First up, some say you can hear him wandering the decks of the Queen Mary at night, calling out for his long-lost love, Jimmy Sweeney, and that he has an obsession with razor blades. Ladies and gentlemen, it's his first time on a Dark Harbor panel, so make him welcome. It is our technical director, Mr. Adam Conga. Just in future, most people walk across quicker than that. You took your time, so just for future...
Milk it!
Yeah, make it snappy.
It's my first time!
I'm glad to see that you're enjoying your last time. Is this thing on? Next up, ladies and gentlemen, some say he never sleeps and he lives on a diet of Red Bull and kale. Others say that, unlike Samson, the more hair he loses, the stronger he gets. Which clearly means that he is at the peak of his powers. Ladies and gentlemen, talent director, Mr. David Wally. I feel like I deserve that.
I love you.
I love you too. And go.
I feel like, see, he's a perfect example. All of our monsters are at this like fever pitch this year. They've been busy in the off season, super busy, which makes this really exciting. I think something we're focusing on this year is darker, more sinister, more immersive, more interactive. And to do that, we had to bring on a little help. We have a more darker, more sinister character, don't we?
Yeah, you can feel it.
Darker.
What?
Mo darker.
No darker.
Yeah. This year we have an extremely dark, sinister character.
Wait a minute.
I said dark and sinister, not daft and sinister.
It's only July. It's early. I'm not used to coming out with months in a row, so forgive my sunglasses. Oh, God, I'm a little hungover. Yes. Were you discussing a new dark entity?
Yeah, and it wasn't you.
No. Oh, that wasn't my cue?
No.
No.
You
think everything is your cue.
Well, of course, darling. Well, enough about me. Let's talk about how you feel about me.
Is anyone gonna tell her?
You're in the wrong seat.
What do you mean?
We were
That's
talking.
not your chair.
You're not.
Oh,
the,
it's supposed to be center.
You're
No,
not the dark,
no,
sinister,
no.
anything.
Where's the hook? Has anybody got the hook back there?
Slide on
Hey,
down.
Stage left.
Stage left. And any further off stage, I'll be in backstage.
That's the idea.
Yes. No.
You're dark and sinister, but you're not the creepy new character we're talking about.
Oh, really? Oh, are you talking about my new boyfriend?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is our little secret this year. And I feel like I can say this because we at Dark Harbor, we do praise other haunts. We're very inclusive in that. And this man, if you have been to Knott's Scary Farm over the last few years, you'll know it's one of the premier haunts in Southern California. And this man had a lot to do with it. And we are more than humbled and honored and privileged to have him this year revamping our mazes. Ladies and gentlemen, production designer Mr. John Cook.
John Cook!
Welcome, sir.
Isn't he dreamy?
How's that for a warm welcome?
Not bad. What's up, Dark Harbor? How we doing? You know, John, I was going to say something mean about you like the others when you came out, but you're bigger than me and you have more tattoos, so you get nothing but respect. Please, pull no punches. Have at it.
Well, as you can see, I mean, you guys seem to be as excited as we are about having John on our team this year. It's going to be fantastic. And when we all sat down early in the season, sans John, we said, we need a new fresh look. We need someone who is dark and twisty and sinister to bring just Dark Harbor just a little bit darker. And he's our new shadow. So I kind of want to know what you think so far.
You did refer to me
Shit.
as creepy.
You are
I was saying
creepy.
back there, by the way.
It's a little creepy, a little creepy.
No, first off, thank you guys for being so welcoming. And you guys, this is amazing. I didn't really know how this was going to go, so this is super awesome. Thank you so much.
Take a moment and give props out to Mr. Rick West, the producer of Midsummer Scream. And his lovely lady Johanna Atalano and the whole Midsummer team.
So tell us.
See, I can be generous. in
What's your
spirit.
first impression so far? What do you think of the ship? Have you had any experiences or anything?
Well, we had a lot of late nights, so I'm not sure what had been paranormal or just being.
Tell them about that
tired.
late night we
Oh my
had.
god.
I guess it's a family show.
Depends who you ask, I guess. But as a haunted attraction designer, you can't ask for a more amazing canvas than this historic, notoriously haunted, amazing cruise liner to be able to create. And so when my team first stepped in, we spent a lot of time just being on the ship and kind of letting some of these different attractions that are taking place on the ship kind of dictate to us what those stories are going to be that we're going to be telling this year.
And I think in order to tee it up right for John and his team, we wanted to tee it up right for you guys. And the way we thought we could do that is to break out kind of the arteries that make up Dark Harbor itself. Because we feel like the deeper we go with our characters and the further we go into the story, the better story John can play and the more fun you're gonna have and the more immersive it's gonna be. So we're gonna kind of go back to the beginning. For those of you who know the characters, great, we're gonna flip that on its side. For those of you who don't, you're gonna get to know them right now and get to know what makes them tick in their areas, because we need to do that, because this year we've created basically a choose your own adventure mega haunt.
I think it's what's really cool this year, from what I can tell anyways, you can just go through the haunts and have a good time, or you can get really, really deep into the stories and discover lots and lots of things throughout the ship.
Absolutely.
When you say more immersive this year, does that mean I can touch people?
No.
We're not supposed to touch people. Nobody told me. Sorry.
It's okay, Adam. I already know your no-no place.
Woo! Captain.
Yes.
Take control.
No, you've already set it up. We're more amped this year. You brought this upon yourself.
Oh boy. So here's how you're gonna start Dark
Welcome
Harbor.
to the family, John.
The first beat of Dark Harbor takes you back to the very beginning, which is the shipyard. And the lord of said shipyard.
As the shipyard and Intrepid get bigger every year, the Ironmaster gets smaller.
It's a scale issue.
Well, he is a wee lad from Scotland, but I do like the tilt of his kilt.
Well, those of you who don't know, the Ironmaster character was stemmed from the shipbuilder himself, John Brown. He's Scottish descent, hence the kilt. But his character's really creepy. He is the only resident spirit who isn't actually a spirit. He has been cursed to live forever. He sold his soul to the devil, so he's actually not dead. He's an undead entity.
That's scary. I'm reading his little profile here. It's a little Match.com, isn't it? Strengths and weaknesses.
It is.
Swipe, swipe, swipe.
Right. I would have said strength, those legs. And weakness, you know, like Aries and men who aren't afraid to cry. That's what it looks like to me. Although I like that his weakness is the captain.
You two tend to have a beef.
Sorry, I was, for no reason, just that I wanted to get close to you, Adam.
I'm married.
There's
Oh, that won't stop me.
Is it getting hot in here, or is it just me?
It's getting hot. Can we get back to Dark Harbor? There's lots to see in the shipyard. We have Happy Haunting Hour for those of you who have never come to Dark Harbor.
Or never drink.
That's just unacceptable. But if you've never been to Dark Harbor, from 6 to 7 p.m., it's an hour before opening, we do a pre-party. And I think it's pretty fantastic. So if you get there early, we also have $20 tickets. Those usually are for Happy Haunting Hour as well, which means you have to enter the gates between 7 and 8 p.m. But anyone who shows up from 6 to 7, we've got 2 bars open, David. 2 bars. How do you feel about that?
Great.
So this year, not only can you go visit the bars, but you can rent out the 2 patios. One patio faces the pre-show, so you can stare at his face and her face.
Yes, my space.
They are nice faces. And kind of take a back seat, but an upper seat to be able to see the pre-show. The second rentable space is a monster point of view. So you'll be able to sit amongst all of the monsters and watch us call the show from back of house as we open the gates.
And that's actually really cool. It's really probably the funnest 15 minutes of Dark Harbor for me, because it's getting everybody ramped up. They've been going through the works for a couple of hours, and they can feel the beat the DJ's putting down. And
It's a real freak show, too.
Yeah, you'll see us all standing back there going, "Where's the ringmaster? Is she going to turn up?" And she turns up like 10 seconds before we open.
That's what happens with the star of the show. Just saying.
Oh,
so
that came
think
across like I was being narky about that. No, that's fine. No, you take your time.
You can check him.
I'm still waiting for that remodeled dressing room, Mr. Cook. Yes. Right now they've got me in the real Dark Harbor, the porta potties.
A couple of things that can happen while you're here, especially if you come early. We wanted to create a kind of a side story, an understory, which goes along with your Choose Your Own Adventure. There are secret things afoot, and starting at the beginning is the best place to start to piece together some of the keys that will unlock certain areas within the mazes, and maybe the most ultimate thing we'll talk about later.
Is it a bar? It's a bar.
You know, Charity, when
a
I
bar.
introduced you on stage, you looked at me like I was lying, and now you're just proving me correct.
Well, we do have mazes.
Oh,
We do have
thank you, Adam. Thank
The
you.
amazing maze.
And in the shipyard, we have, the reason he's up here is Intrepid.
Right.
That's still a bar. It's like,
but we still have a bar.
Yeah, we were going to another bar before we went to Intrepid.
Okay, but
Bar Harbor.
Let me just back up this bar that you just skipped over. Go back a slide.
The barrel room.
It is a cool bar.
It is a 9-degree ice bar. And this time, it's right next to Intrepid, and there's 2 doors. There's the door you enter, and you can choose to go out the door you entered when you're finished, or you can choose door number 2, and we're not going to tell you what's behind door number 2, but maybe you'll be daring enough to go after you have 2 shots of vodka.
Yes, and you can also visit the barrel room and get a little frisky with your whiskey.
yes, that's if you go through door number 3, which is just a hole. It's a big ice hole.
But the barrel room is important. It's kind of significant.
There's clues. There's clues in the barrel room, children, so look carefully, because you could start your own adventure right there.
We're almost to a maze. I
Okay,
can
I think
feel
we're
it.
at.
Okay, we almost. Hey, hold on,
So
hold on.
close.
We're almost in a maze. Say something about the maze.
Yeah, what really stood out to me the most about Intrepid was actually the character design. And when I looked at this character that you have his body falling apart, he's able to replace it with pieces of the ship. Kind of wanted to dive into more of a why and get into the origins of the Ironmaster. So for this year, for Intrepid, we're actually going back prequel of previous Intrepids. We're still going to get on the train, we're going to take it up into the north, and we're going to exit into a snow-covered cemetery. And in the back of the cemetery, you can find the entrance to some catacombs. If you want to go into those catacombs, you're going to come across a sea witch character where the Ironmaster has made his pact. As long as he is bringing her fresh souls to start harvest, he's able to continue to live by replacing his rotting body with these body parts. And one thing I will say about this maze is I threw a pretty crazy design package to Adam and his team, and
You
this
think?
maze is insane so far.
Yeah, this thing is, it's a cathedral, it's a cemetery, and this thing is 20 feet tall. I mean, it's impressive what he's designed. We're glad to have him. But I think from afar, whether you're inside that maze or not, you're going to see it from the entire property.
It looks like it's part of the village almost, that's how
It's
massive
taller
that
than the
is.
village in some parts.
So if you visit the Queen Mary anytime soon, you'll be able to see it already.
Yeah, I just want to do a real quick commercial for both John and Adam. Adam's been doing Dark Harbor with me from the beginning back in 2010 and doesn't get anywhere near the credit he deserves for him and his team putting up Dark Harbor every year from scratch, and it's amazing. And it's great working with John, who's come in and really taken the event and also taken all of us to another level of what his vision and his expectations are of the event. And for me, it's super duper exciting because I get to cast this thing in a week, and now I know this canvas that I'm casting towards. It's super duper exciting. You guys are gonna love Dark Harbor this year.
That's blasphemy, Charity.
I apologize.
The port is my favorite part of the ship. That's where I reside.
I thought you resided in the Queen's rear. I mean the aft of the ship. But you're in the port now.
You know, I'm not the only one in the port. There's also Half-Hatch Henry.
Oh, Henry, the trickster.
I like how even now with half a head, he was still cognitive of the fact that he was on screen and watched himself. I think that's impressive. Half-Hatch Henry.
He's got a roving eye. It's nearly down on the cheek and sometimes it's over here.
If you don't know who Half-Hatch Henry is, Half-Hatch, he was a fireman on board the Queen Mary, and he used to play a game where he would run through the ship trying to dive through the doors before they closed. And he got to door 13 and did not make it, and that happened. And now he has a splitting headache. Okay, that's my one joke.
These are the jokes, Jeremy.
So sorry, his strengths, he's fearless. Weaknesses, shouldn't that say doors? I mean, I thought that would be obvious.
I think the reaction time is kind of the same thing.
Yeah. You kind of missed it, didn't you there, champ?
Let's keep that
So, at the port, believe it or not, I know you're gonna be shocked, we have a bar. And we called it the Rusty Nail? Isn't that what comes out of Draven's nose? See, now I'm not gonna get that image out of my head every time I'm there. So finally, I can invite people back to the captain's quarters.
No,
No.
you're not invited unless the guests inside there invite you. That's new for you, isn't it?
That sounds like a challenge. I like this idea.
The captain's quarters is, well, we've always had our creepy cabanas, but this year we decided to move them around, add a bunch more, and theme them so that the character, yourself in this instance,
I see.
can go haunt them, because we actually need to find you sometimes.
Okay. No, I got that, Charity. It's named after me, but thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, good, great.
No, keep going. Cabanas, people are there, they want to see me.
The swings. The swings.
No,
are back.
I don't, but thank you for asking. What?
That's a lie.
Oh, if I can turn the dead, I can turn the married.
Captain, focus.
Sorry, yes, righto. Welcome to the panel. Messor!
Food. So,
Are we actually having, like, sit-down food this year?
God, no. Who's got time? Who has time to sit down at Dark Harbor
just
and get
asking.
food?
I know.
No. But what we did want to do this year is we wanted to theme it a bit more, and we wanted to create more of a foodie element. We haven't totally nailed food in the past, but this year it's something that we're working on. We've come up with some really cool options I think people will like, and this just goes along with our whole immersiveness. So you've got the mess hall to clean up.
What?
You didn't get that memo?
Aisle 4, clean up.
I need to talk to my agent and see my contract.
But it's good to get some good greasy food down in your belly before you visit the bars.
That's a good point. Spoken from experience.
I haven't eaten since 1929. I have trouble swallowing.
Anyway,
David, can you?
I can't even segue from that.
Don't we have a maze in this location somewhere? Don't we have a
We've got a
maze?
stage. We've got a stage.
Oh yeah,
Adam.
that's where we have the stage. We have the voodoo stage, we have voodoo scream.
So appetizing.
Yeah, we're making it real appetizing for everyone.
Hey,
aren't
where
we?
do you want to go eat? Can we go get some filthy swine? Stage. It's going to be a big fire stage. Everybody loves our fire performers, our magicians, our sideshow performers.
Get a big cup of alcohol and stand next to the fire stage. Be a burning good time.
Is that what they mean when they say that they get lit?
Ba-dum-bum.
I'm not up with the lingo. I'll try that. And the priestess perch. Is this where we'll find the voodoo priestess this year?
It is. You'll see the priestess here. This is another set of cabanas that faces the fire stage. Another great place, good watering hole to compete with you and yours.
You say compete like nothing can compete with me.
It really is a fabulous stage, and the Voodoo Stomp team, they're remarkable. And sometimes they'll ask you to join in, yes.
Oh,
That's
wait!
our segue.
I know, why did we take so long to get to this?
Maze.
The best maze at Dark Harbor, Dead Rise. If you've been through Dead Rise, you know that we have the water feature. That is operated by someone that sits above. So some people think it's timed, and they're like, oh, it just went off, so it won't go off for another 30 seconds, I'll quickly run through. No, it's someone pressing the button. So you're going to get wet no matter how long you wait, or whether you try and go through straight after the first one. The great thing is that every year, as Mr. Wally takes his tour of the park, they purposely get him. Every single time. And in fact, there was one year where you managed to get away from them and take the back route. And so they were waiting for him at the end with a bucket of water anyway.
You're giving away our secrets?
Yes, if you get through without being wet, there's a bucket of water waiting for you.
Adam, okay,
For the
so,
love of God, John, take over.
in all seriousness,
Dead Rise to me has always been my favorite maze when I visit Dark Harbor, and one of those reasons it kind of has that really cool post-apocalyptic Mad Max feel to it. So we wanted to lean into that a little heavier and really make it the heavy metal rock show of the event. One of the other things we were tasked with by Charity was, because it has such a large footprint, let's put in a lot more choose-your-own-adventure type moments. So one of those choose-your-own-adventures, has anybody seen American Ninja Warrior? It's pretty much that. I mean, this maze has everything, you know, has the pyro effects, the water, David's favorite water cannon. But also it has like cargo net climbs, firemen sliding poles, slides that go through it, things you have to crawl through. Embankments you have to run up. This maze literally is an obstacle course, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But if that wasn't enough, what we did in the middle of the maze is we built in like a legit scare zone in the middle of the maze that has no set path or anything through it. It's just you, the monsters, and some set pieces, and you can try and make it through it, or the monsters can keep you there all night. So, see how fast you run.
Have fun.
I have a question. It's really just for the panel, so just ignore this. We've upped our liability limits this year, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Yes. With all the drinking, what could possibly go wrong?
Right, nothing as far as I can tell.
No, seriously though, there are two things I want to point out about this maze. One, Adam's ridiculous build, and John's design.
I do love Adam's ridiculous.
Right? You've been working out?
I mean,
Why am I on this side?
I don't know.
Is it because I'm new?
Maybe.
Is that why?
When you talk about haunts, we really focus on senses, but we usually focus on 3 senses, not necessarily 4 or 5. And that was kind of the task this year, is take us from sight and sound and smell, and let's add touch, no.
Oh, why did you look at me when you said that?
We already had this conversation.
You just touched me.
And when
Not
I
even 30 seconds ago.
And when I say touch, for safety reasons, not each other, that means that only leaves are set, you know? And in order to create the extra sensory and make you feel more immersed in our culture, we want you to feel what it's like for the crew members to try and claw their way up the deck as it's literally at a, 60 degree incline. So there'll be lots of fun interactive things to put you in the time and space of what our monsters are going through, and that was really important to us. It's just adding
So it's
this
like a
extra
boot
sensory.
camp.
It is a boot camp.
We better start warming up, children. Better do my stretches.
Careful.
Like, dislocate.
And I can't believe I'm the one that's segueing into this, but I am. We also have something that we've had in the past, door 13, which is infamous with Half Hatch. It's the door that he got sliced in. But this year, what is new, this is why I can't believe I'm segueing into this, behind it, if you can get through.
Is it a bar? Is it a bar?
Is a bar!
Thank you, Adam. So that's the trick. You have to run and try and get through the door before it closes.
No, but you do have to try and find it.
And the bar, I know the bar thing. But anyways, the bar, what's cool about the bar is it does overlook the maze, so you can sit there and watch other guests trying to go through this obstacle course. And if they just went through the bar, it's probably a little more entertaining to watch them go through the
It
obstacle
is,
course.
because I think
Much more
they
fun to heckle them.
might even have a chance to create their own scare while they're in the bar. I think there are buttons you can push that can really mess with people.
Can I push your buttons, Adam?
I'm not the button. I'll be there, but I'm not the button.
Party pooper. Oh, we've reached the Midway. You know all about this, don't you, Ringmaster?
Oh, it's my favorite section, the Midway.
No.
Oh, you mean the section on
On
the
the ship.
outside the ship, the Midway. Yes, well, I'm going to come center stage.
Why?
Let's talk
Why?
about it. It's where I
Why are
belong.
you coming center stage? Oh my God, we're playing you.
Surprise! I'm back!
Not bad.
Run it again!
What?
I want to see it again! It was marvelous! Yes, they're so good!
Surprise! I'm back!
Don't clap for that. You basically played 2 notes and then made a whole lot of noise. You're like Dark Harbor's Kanye.
Well, you know, children, I know it's going to be hard for you to believe, but not one lesson, not one piano lesson is an actual talent of mine. I massacred that poor instrument, I'll tell you that. All right, let's talk about the Midway. Yes, inspired by a mid-century circus, and it's all about me, of course, and my freaky family. You must come and see the freak show. You can also order a freak a la carte. Yes, you can order them up and they'll visit you in your creepy cabana, and you can watch the sideshows at your leisure, and I might come by and sing a little karaoke with you. I've been practicing, yes, and as they call it, it's going to be the worst one-nighter of your life. Yes, I think that's the title of my new memoir.
I like your strengths and weaknesses. Strength, manipulation, tickling the ivories. Well, that's wrong for a start. We just saw that. That's not a strength.
Now, Captain, you certainly liked it when I serenaded you at the ice bar last year. Well, children, you must come. And you know, people are always asking me about my décolletage. Yes. Well, I tell you, children, it was a date that I accepted. Never accept a date with a stranger when he says, let's go necking. Had something completely different in mind. It was a werewolf. Yes, it was a werewolf. It was 1929. It was the Great Depression. There are remnants of him in my coat. Yeah.
Are you trying to pretend like you're like 20 years old? Because it says down here you died in 1953.
No, darling, I'm eternally young. I'm younger than springtime. It's all that clean living. I know it's very hard to believe, but David Wally and I are the same age. Yes, I know I look so much younger. But really, children, I hope you come see me on the Midway and in the circus maze. This year, you get to see what's backstage, right? Right, sweet Charity?
You do.
Yes, you can see backstage up close and personal. It's all dusty and rickety, just like me.
Well, there's a lot going on in the Midway this year. We have Big Top Bungalows, which are the third set of creepy cabanas where I'm sure you'll be lingering around. We've got 3 Ring Concessions, which is a food stand that is dedicated to yours truly.
Yes, and a haunted hookah! Yes, come share a little smoke with me, will you?
I think the haunted hookah is the peak of my design career that I get to work on this year.
Okay, speaking of design, why don't we move on to the real focus on this area?
Yes, tell us a little bit more about what you have in store for us, Mr. Cook. Besides my expanded dressing room.
We had the new Big Top stage was going to be
Yeah, before
amazing.
we get to the maze, we decided to relocate the aerial stage here right in front of the circus. It'll play nicely with that. Incredible aerialists and performers and singing and music.
There's
and
a bar.
There's a bar.
It's a big carousel. In my defense, this one was worth mentioning. It's like rounded, it's a carousel. It's really cool.
Yes, it is. It's going to be delightful. So come see me for a little drink, eh? Yes? Will you? Will you, children?
Move to the maze.
Okay, maze. Good. So, circus maze or sideshow or clowns is a very, very common theme, so we wanted to kind of throw a little bit of a twist on it, and we wanted to implement that thought of being somewhere that you're not supposed to be. So as a guest, you're actually breaking into the circus after hours when it is closed down for the evening. So as you go ahead and make your way through the carnival encampment, you're going to come across a big fun house that's been shut down for the night, and once you step in, you're going to realize that you have walked right into the Ringmaster's trap.
That's right. You can see me prepare for my performances. My little pre-performance rituals. Right, Mr. Warren?
Right.
Before it was just you and I, but now we're inviting the public. It's very scary.
That must be a different maze that I don't know about, but
It also has a surprise ending, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does have a surprise ending. Everyone loves a surprise ending, don't you? Well, you must come and see.
And I gotta say about a lot of the 3 mazes that we've talked about already, Circus, Rise, and Intrepid. Obviously, you know, those of you who have come to Dark Harbor, you know, these are mazes that we've seen in the past. The one great thing about John being on our team this year is, yes, it's the same name and we have the same characters, but when you go through here, there are so many different elements within the design, within the maze, with build, everything. It makes it feel so different. I mean, like he just talked about, it's as if you're breaking into the circus after hours. It just puts a whole darker, thematic theme towards it. It's he's done such a great job, and we
Completely reimagined.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the things that's really cool is, you know, sometimes on board the ship, we're a little bit more restricted about what we can do because of the paths and stuff like that. When we're outside with Circus, with Dead
Let it
Bodies,
all hang loose.
and with Intrepid, we're able to really break things up, which we're doing again this year. But one of the things I'm so excited about what John's done this year is he's broken everything up inside the maze as well.
Yeah.
So some of those familiar paths are like completely different ways of getting through the maze. That you've never
Each
seen.
one of these is going to feel completely different. So
Yes,
kudos
children,
to you, John.
we've had a makeover. We've been clipped and dipped and squeezed and tweezed and plucked and tucked and ready to be entertaining.
The Swan.
I personally don't remember getting a plucking, but if you say we all got plucked, then I'll go with you on that.
All right,
reached the
children, I'll see you
midship.
at the circus. Let's talk about the midship now.
Passed over and past years, but this year I think it's going to be unique. And we have a couple of characters that lure, or rather lurk in these areas.
Shall we talk about our favorite wretched child?
Samuel.
Captain's
Are we
Richard
talking
Child.
about Sammy?
There he is. Oh.
Where'd your hair go?
Went south.
I feel like we have a couple of resident spirits that people don't know a lot about, and Samuel's one of them. So he was one that we really wanted to bring to the forefront this year, and his maze is insane, but we'll get to that in a minute. But Samuel is an interesting creature and story, so we're excited for you to see what he has in store for us.
It's much more psychological this year.
It is, and he's kind of John's taken us on kind of a prequel journey of how he came to be.
Are the scary nuns back? I love them. Are they back? No scary nuns? What do we have?
For those of you that don't know, Samuel Savage was a passenger on board the Queen Mary who was accused of killing another passenger, so he was locked inside room B340 for his own safety and for the safety of other passengers, and when they went to go and get him out of B340, he'd ripped himself apart and killed himself. And no one quite knows how he did it.
So, and that's where we went with this maze, was playing off the mystery of what actually happened in B340 that evening. So we're actually following along with the detective's investigation of this case. So as we're walking through the maze, we're going to hear the narration of what they found, we're going to see the evidence, and right as things start to take us in a really dark, sinister place, it all goes quiet. And we are plunged into the depths of the Queen Mary to discover what happened to Samuel the Savage that evening for ourselves.
So if we double back to what we were talking about before about the immersiveness of what we're doing this year, you will have the opportunity to literally follow in his footsteps, whether it's crawling under a bed, out through a closet, through a washing machine. You know, it's like literally you will follow the path of this crazed murderer, and it could take you to some unsuspecting areas.
Yeah, well, I think this one has a really cool twist on it, and what you might think is happening with this character probably isn't exactly what's happening with this character.
And this is another one that we had to completely revamp. I mean, with his vision and the storyline that he's taken us to, I mean, we had to completely demo the entire old maze that you guys know as B340, and it is taken a whole new twist. From top to bottom, the whole thing is different.
And you can actually now stay in the actual B340 room. Is that true?
Yes, you can. I think on top of the maze itself, this area has become pretty cool too. We've created I'm not even gonna say a bar, but we did. But there's some viewing areas and patios that are really cool, as well as, of course, the RIP lounge. And of these elevated experiences, RIP will remain fairly the same, but we have a new ticket type this year called Evil Express. And that falls in between Fast Fright and VIP, and I highly encourage you to check that one out. And on top of that, for those of you who were lucky enough to get a ticket to Ultimate Scream, there's only, God, I want to say 40 available a night, but it is basically a private tour of all of the mazes, skipping to the front of the lines. You'll learn all the history, all the lore. You'll unlock a couple secret passageways and bars and fun. And this is one of the coolest tickets that I'm excited about, and we've doubled the capacity of it because it sold out every night last year.
It has a great point of view this year, doesn't it, Charity?
It does.
I like how you basically called the bars viewing areas.
I was trying to get away from the word bar.
It helps me because now I won't get in trouble when I'm saying, oh, I'll be over in the viewing area.
Speaking of that viewing area up in the RIP lounge, we sort of skipped over it, but back, close to all of our hearts, I'm assuming yours as well, we have the sliders back, of course. 2 shows this year, 2 different shows per night. And then that RIP lounge you can actually watch. It's in a different location this year. From there, you can actually watch the whole show as well, which is pretty rad.
I want to give a little shout out to the sliders because, we haven't even hit auditions yet, and those guys not just are returning sliders,
And gals.
who shut your mouth. I haven't hired you yet. Yeah, you. They've been working their asses off for like months already, getting ready for auditions, getting ready to show us that they're ready to step up and join the slider team. So I'm really proud of all the men and women that are doing that. You guys are awesome.
And something you may find this year up in RIP Lounge is Graceful Gale, in lieu of her soulmate maze, because we kind of felt that, well, soulmate, she was kind of looking at the plebs, really, which was not her style. She wanted to be up in RIP, where the first-class passengers are.
You're just jealous because you're her soulmate.
I'd like to say she's finally come to her senses. If you ask her, she'll utter the word settled. I kind of think it's the same thing. But
Wait,
either way...
she's your soulmate, then what am I?
You're next, Adam.
Promise?
Moving on. There's got to be one more lurking little terror.
Well, I think now, yes.
Do we have to talk about her?
Yes, let's talk about our favorite wretched child. Shall we? Original teddy bear. You wouldn't believe what we found in the Queen's rear when we were redecorating. Yes. Yes, and she's ready to come out and play, children. She has lots of new games and friends for you to meet, so you really must come and visit her. It's really been confirmed that she was drowned in the first-class pool, is that correct? In the 50s, in the mid-50s.
Which I would like to point out that someone has got her strength as swimming. She drowned.
It was probably
She had help drowning.
It was maybe, perhaps, but it might have been that woolen swim costume that she was wearing that pulled her down. So nice that we've redesigned some of the swimming wear. But it is commanded by Scary Mary and all of her little minions, although I do have a little hand in some of the games that happen there. What else is happening in Lullaby?
So we kind of... Oh my god, you're terrifying.
She's drilling blood.
Okay. So for Lullaby, we leaned real heavily into the paranormal, the ghost story of this that everybody's so familiar with, and we kind of played on the idea that we did discover her bear, and we actually removed it from the area from which it was found, just outside of the spirit's reach. So guests are
Didn't that make her cranky?
Oh yes. Guests are now invited to walk through as she throws the most epic temper tantrum on this side or the spirit side that anybody's ever seen.
She needs an eternal timeout, children. Yes, Mary was a bad seed. From the beginning till forever.
Okay.
One of our troubled children, one of many, yes?
Sorry, I'm just watching her down there milking it.
Mary's Menage is a bar.
Well, she does put the fun in our dysfunctional family.
There's a bar.
We'll move to the stern. It's time to get stern. We're almost out of time here. All right, what's going on in the stern?
Smell from here. Tell you from up here that he smells as good as he looks.
I don't know that everybody knows his origin story. You want to make sure we hit that?
I do, because this is probably my favorite origin story. Sorry. One of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm right here, Charity.
What's interesting about this character, Chef, is that he comes from a true life story. There is, in fact, a chef during World War II who was shoved into his own oven and succumbed to his burns 3 days later. And while there isn't anything to joke about, what's interesting about this character is, during World War II, the Queen Mary was dubbed the Great Ghost, and it turned from a passenger liner into a warship. It was the fastest ship on the seas, and it traversed transatlantic with over 13,000 troops, breaking its world record 3 times. What that means for the ship is it's not a lovely place to be. There's dysentery, people are literally sleeping in shifts, 3 shifts, which means the burners in the galley ran for 4.5 years straight. They cooked for 4.5 years straight without shutting off a flame. And so that probably tells you how great the food was, and probably how happy the chef was. So his words, some choice words from a lot of the crew members, created his demise. So I find him to be one of my favorite characters, and obviously we've taken it to a whole nother level.
And he didn't actually die in the oven, did he? They actually pulled him out still alive.
They did, and he suffocated 3 days later from his burns.
So on that note,
Sell it.
Yeah.
So for Feast, we started to ask ourselves, what is the role we want the guests to play in the story that we're trying to tell in this maze? So the guests are going to be clocking in for their shift to go work in the kitchen, and as they're making their way through the ship, they're starting to realize there's a lot of seasick passengers through the path, but the kitchen staff doesn't seem to be paying attention to that. However, they are noticing you, and the faster you're walking, the faster they're walking, the faster you're running, the faster they're running, until you realize you're being chased to the ship, and you come face to face with Chef himself, and he throws you into that oven, and you're going to come out as part of his army, or you're not quite going to cut it, you're going to be fired and sent down into the engine room to work for eternity.
Yeah, and I just want to go to Adam on this. The design that you built of his design is insane.
Yeah, this was fun to build because last year, as you guys remember, Feast was at the bow of the ship, so moving to the stern, we had to completely redo what used to be Soulmate into Feast. So we got to redesign, John got to redesign the whole thing from the oven
Getting hot?
to the kitchen. David?
he's intoxicating, isn't he?
I'm on my own, aren't I?
I think the monsters are.
But kudos to John for having to reimagine everything that we. Wow. Your eyes are dreamy.
Adam.
It just sucks you in.
Adam.
Focus.
Adam.
Focus, Adam. Focus.
Focus.
Right, Feast. Redone, redesigned, rebuilt. We had a tremendous time building it. The oven is spectacular. Thank you for that.
But you're not only going through an oven this year, you're going through like a meat processor too.
Yeah, the meat processor, going through the kitchen, things are going to probably maybe fall on you. There's bodies and slabs of meat that you have to go through, not those slabs of meat.
Oh, when you said slabs of meat.
I would say this maze is the first one we have. pretty much completed at this point, and all the departments coming together and working together. It's a pretty awesome product, and I'm very excited about it.
And we're excited for you guys to see it as well.
Yeah, one of the things I've been saying for years, and I think we're really going to live up to it this year, is with Dark Harbor, we want to scare the shit out of you guys inside these mazes, and we want to entertain the hell out of you when you're outside the mazes, and I think we've got it keyed up to do that this year.
So,
It sounds delicious.
I believe we only have 5 minutes left, so we only have time really to play my video.
Really?
See, now it's getting awkward. I made a copy just for you.
Oh, Captain, my Captain, let's tell them about your bar.
My bar? The Broken Cup? I thought we weren't going to talk about that. This is a secret bar. You're telling everyone my secret.
It is the last secret bar. So the one thing that's different about this particular secret bar is you have to find the clues and receive a compass to gain access. It's uber exclusive. It'll be open 1 hour later than every other bar, and it'll be placed inside the ship, a place where Dark Harbor has never gone.
So that will help you navigate your way through? Why, yes. Yeah, well, clever.
So with that,
Yeah, no, thanks. With that, thanks for telling everyone my secret. Awesome.
well, somebody has to join you down there at some point.
I like drinking alone.
We know.
Unless you come down, Adam.
Oh boy.
So with that, we wanted to just reiterate how excited we are to show you Dark Harbor, how excited we are to have John on board, and this amazing cast here and out there and back still working at the ship. It's gonna be a great immersive season. We're at the edge of our seats.
Yes, of course we're at the edge of our seats. Let's give a big hand for all of our freakies.